started with a work session. Kevin, would you like to start something?
All right, not a whole lot of changes on my end. Cannon Park, they're building in 4, and yeah, final plat was approved last meeting, so they'll probably start building there pretty soon. Emerald Ridge, there's building houses in there. Shallow Creek, same thing, phase 2, sector 4. Y'all were handed some paperwork on Shallow Creek, so you'll have, yeah,
It's just for us.
it's just a look at it.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Just go ahead. Now, that was, this, what Danny did was on Shallow.
Yeah, it's at the very back. I said, well, just for your FYI.
Yeah. But you'll probably see something coming from them pretty soon. Coslin, they're building in phase 3, and still hadn't heard anything about across the street, so I wouldn't look for them to do anything. Not anytime soon. Aberdeen, phase 1, final plat is on the agenda for tonight. And preliminary on phase 2, there's still, I think Bill's waiting on a few things for that. Setta's Place, have not heard anything from them in a while, not since their extension, so. Timberline, they're building phase 6, and they're still working on phase 7. You might get that in January, final plat for 7, but if the weather don't help, you probably won't. Waterford master plan was approved by the planning commission and city council. Dunsmore will be on the next council meeting on the 16th, that master plan. Seth Gardens, they're going pretty quick. So they're still working on it. And Mill Point, their preliminary project approved, I haven't seen anything. I haven't driven by that, you drive by. Comfort Inn, yeah, I don't know what the deal is. That's one that got in, that's that one. Tax abatement, so I may take that off because I haven't seen anything from them in months. Holiday Inn,
That's
there's,
gonna be the one behind,
no, Comfort Inn would have been the one right beside, that man.
okay.
Holiday Inn is the one right behind the white, dentist slash, yeah. They're going pretty good on that too. The dental place is open as far as I know, they got their CO, so.
I think they
I think.
Oh, they haven't got the business
Yeah, I don't
license.
think they opened yet.
They haven't.
Okay, well, they ain't got a business license, but they got CO, so. Wendy's, they seem to be going pretty good on that too. I haven't seen anything on the convenience store for 7042 in a while. But they've got everything approved, so I don't know what they're waiting on. Unless they have some problems with the county or the state that I'm not aware of.
Didn't they get approved for a traffic light right there too?
That, I think that had something to do with it, but I don't know if that's what's gonna make it happen. It should, is what I was always told. Homes 2 Suites is going up to McWayne. Their site's going pretty well. It seems to be going kind of slow for just being our metal building, but I don't know what it is with them.
I've been there since the slab, since I started putting, I think I didn't call for anything.
But they are still working. I drove by there today. They're still out King Crossing, from what I heard, he was looking for somebody to put the building up for him, so. He's already done all the, well, not all the site work, but he put curb and all that stuff in, so. Coslin Convenience Store, haven't seen anything from them in a while. Waffle House on 84, they're supposed to be sending their resubmitted civil plans. I think they had confusion on their engineering end. They sent plans to us, we sent them back, they sent them to their engineers, and they never heard from them again. So I think they had to get new engineers and kind of start over. And there is a pediatric dental office going in the old Baptist medical building on Limestone. That's going to be a pediatric dental office.
What you got?
That's all I got for now.
There's a building off of 16 behind where that cemetery is. Been abandoned for, gosh, I was a fire marshal then when that was being built. And it got low because they never did get the permit right or something like that. You know what one I'm talking about?
Okay, got you.
What is that zone in there?
Where you at?
Old cemetery, first one, utilities next to
It was gonna be, wanted to be a church.
Yeah, it's gonna be their church.
It was a big rig on it, I can,
The only thing I know about that, when I started, Mike took me over there and showed me the building. They put the footers in without, nobody would sign off on anything. He said, this building is, no board can't do anything with it.
It was Spirit and Truth.
yeah. Do I kind of,
It was Spirit and Truth,
yeah,
What's his name?
R1.
R1, so if anybody come in there wanting commercial, they still,
Yeah, that's
well, I can't do anything with the building anyway. I was asked about that the other day.
You know, we've been asked several times.
Okay.
And everybody that we've ever given their information said they wouldn't sell.
Well, back up for sale, I understand. But, as I told him, I didn't think we'd do anything with the building. But, one of the things I thought was zoning.
No, it wasn't the zoning, it was the
Well,
slab,
he's wanting-
something with the slab.
Yeah. What this guy want to do with it would be zoning. Or now would be.
Yeah.
All right, I got else got anything? We got a lot for 6:30.
We're gonna let them do their presentation.
We can do that. Would y'all like to go ahead and get started on your presentation for the regular meeting?
Sure.
Right ahead.
Mr. Chair, may I approach and
Sure.
hand out? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Trip Galloway. I'm an attorney, and I represent Hall Group, who is the petitioner on the second item on the agenda, which is the proposed rezoning from B2 to R4 for the subject property, which we show to be 13.8 acres and change at 35 Whippoorwill Lane. And I think what would potentially be most helpful is if I ran through the documents I have here, sort of explain big picture, and then I have two gentlemen from Hall Group who are here who can help answer logistics. And I'm happy to dialogue with Mr. Kilgore, whomever, about any legal dynamics of the presentation or questions that arise, if that would be acceptable. Okay, thank you. The subject property is sought to be rezoned to R4 for the purpose of constructing an apartment property for which the developer, or the owner, the prospective owner, Hall Group, who has it under contract, would build a 120-unit apartment. 138 units are allowed based on zoning as we interpret them, but we're willing to invite a positive recommendation that will have several contingencies, and I'll get to them. One of them would be the 120 unit count. The other is that it would be an apartment complex that would be under the guise of this workforce housing concept. Now, so that there would be a restriction that the only way a CO could be issued in this property go forward with this zoning being used and employed is if the workforce housing program kicks in, so that we couldn't say this is what we're going to do and then change gears and come up with 120 units that are not workforce housing and are not otherwise have appropriate bumpers and restrictions on them. So we want to be very forthcoming that we welcome the, I hesitate to keep saying restriction, but the limit that any rezoning would be confined to this workforce housing program. Now, as was detailed in the submission by Mr. Chambliss on behalf of Hall Group, the workforce housing program was a program that was enacted on May 9th, signed into law by Governor Ivey. If we go to the, sort of running through the different pages here, page 4 shows us the site plan, or the location, vicinity map of the property in between I-65 and 31. So again, 13.8 acres. And we've got the utility letters from the city, from the Waterworks Board, and from Alabama Power. We have the site plan on page 6 that shows how things would lay out, where the detention areas are, the undeveloped aspect of the property. We would not develop development of all the property. We'd have on-site detention area for surface water and some wetlands in the western portion would be undisturbed. But earlier this year, the state, in an effort to help assist commercial and industrial development, decided that it would enact this Workforce Housing Act. And as you can see on page 7, it's sort of cut off at the bottom here, but the page presents, it's got legislation at the top. Contrary to most legislation in the state of Alabama, this passed almost unanimously. The House passed it 102 to nothing and the Senate 34 to 1. So it had unusual bipartisan support. And I would submit that is because of the collective wisdom of the legislature that what is sought to do here is to check several boxes with this one piece of legislation. One is to provide quality housing for citizens, and it's targeted at middle-class economic, socioeconomic residents of Alabama. 2, to provide assistance with child care, which I'll get into in a minute. And then 3, by providing the housing for the workers and their families, it helps to give the industrial development community within the state a widget, if you will, to go to prospective businesses who are looking and shopping different cities and states against each other to say, look, this community here has a built-in economically viable housing situation for people who can be your workers. And it's a hook, if you will, to help distinguish different communities in the state from other places outside Alabama to help enhance the prospect of economic development. This is a new department that is being created up to the level of a cabinet position. There's a state legislator, Mr. Reed from Jasper, who is resigning his seat to become a cabinet level position in charge of this department. Mike Hill is an ex officio member of the board that will oversee this, who's a businessman, former title company owner in Shelby County, and is, again, an ex officio member of this board. So it's an unusual tool that, as I say, checks a number of boxes, both from dealing with advancing the citizenry in terms of the people who will have this affordable housing, but also at the same time serving as an enhancement to the community and to the state to be able to help recruit businesses. So again, unusual that it has this strong of a legislative vote, 1 dissent out of 137 voters. A copy of the act is attached as Exhibit 8. It sets forth all the details in there. I'll speak real quickly about the child care aspect of it. And that it's one of the requirements of somebody who is going to have one of these workforce housing apartment developments is they have to provide child care for the residents in form of subsidizing existing child care for grades, it's K through 8, right? K through 8. Or having their own facility on site. The plan for this property, because of the existing opportunities that exist, is to subsidize and to pay people, subsidize folks within the apartment to pay for their child care, which is typically after school for the K through 8 range of students. Another feature that distinguishes this property from other lower, what is sometimes called low-income housing, subsidized housing, is that and this is shown on right after, this is, I think, page 9 in the handout. This shows the range of incomes, so that in other lower income housing projects, the income range that someone can make, that they can't make more than, say, 50% of the average for that community per the HUD guidelines for the most recent statistics. However, here it's 80%. It is significantly higher. And so the goal is to try to target the middle class worker. And so that if, and that number is derived at, you can see that on page 9, that 80% mark, not the 100%, but 80% of X, can go for one person for 52,000. You know, if you really stretched it on somebody who had 12 people living with them, which would be a stretch to live in a 3-bedroom apartment. But if you had, say, 5, you could earn up to $81,000. And that is, still allows for some credits for, it's not off gross. There's some credits for expenses so it comes down close to adjusted gross income to AGI. So it opens it up, this housing option, to people who would not otherwise qualify for federal and state supported programs, which again is geared both to help those folks who normally wouldn't qualify, but also to make the presentation to the business community who is looking to expand. We've got quality workers who ought to be attracted to you, and here's where they can live. This is a pool of workers we're providing for you. Now on page 10, we have a chart to show what counties are at the top of the list of being eligible to be qualified for this. I mentioned earlier, the legislation allows that in calendar year 25, there will only be 3 of these awarded throughout the state. And they are to be awarded in priority relative to the applicants of the counties that have the most workforce growth and the greatest amount of workforce. And we see on this page, Madison's number 1, Jefferson 2, Lee County 3, Shelby 4. So it is our anticipation that right now, the ranking of there are a handful of other ones that if this rezoning is approved, and again, which we invite to be collared with the restriction that it be for this workforce housing setting, that this is a project that would be awarded. This is not the case had we been in Heflin, say, and we were down at number 28 in Claiborne County. There would be 3 above us who would be picked this year. Maybe years down the road that might happen there, but it's not happening right now. So this is an opportunity that Shelby County has to get in on the front end of this that other counties don't necessarily have. Lastly, the last page we have talks about a couple of miscellaneous things I'd like to bring up. Again, this is probably an unusual pitch, if you will, from a developer who invites restrictions on requested approval in a change in zoning, that we invite a covenant restriction. However, Mr. Kilgore or the city wishes to craft such an item that would restrict the units to be no more than 120, even though 138 could be allowed based on the acreage, and that it would be restricted to this workforce housing concept, and that we would have to provide child care as defined under the program. An aspect of this is that this new, if one takes a step back and looks at it, the state has invested in this. Near unanimous legislature has said we want to go forward with this. There is a ton of momentum to want this to succeed. Logic would say that if that momentum exists, that for those communities who choose to allow this development to go forward in their communities, that they are going to be the target of directed growth, that this will be, those 3 spots will be where the state seeks to bring new industry, new business with incentives so as to legitimize this program and help support it so it may flourish going forward. That only makes sense. It is also, I think, an interesting situation in terms of being would say to that concern is this situation is distinguishable. This is a situation where you have a property that is the developer is willing to limit itself to a development confined solely to a new program from the state that offers the perks of child care and the intangible benefit of likely catalyst for business development. Those factors don't exist for the normal run-of-the-mill apartment development. So when the next person would come up to Calera and say, well, you know, the Hall Group got property rezoned for apartments, that's precedent, and you need to treat us like them, it's very distinguishable. This is a different product right here, very different, and it would not bind your hands in any way. Lastly, I would like to speak for a second to the concept of transitional zoning. Could we pull up the map, the planning map for
That would be a comprehensive plan?
comprehensive plan?
James, that put me on. That's it.
Okay. All right, if I may, Mr. Chair, may I step away from the mic so I can see this real quick? Thanks. Okay, the subject property is general commercial, right? Is that what it says? And then that's the long-range plan. And then below it is another general commercial, and then institutional below that. Same above, and to the east is medium density residential?
Yes.
Okay. So, from a zoning standpoint, it is a common zoning thing that to have what is called transitional zoning, to try to don't just starkly have single-family homes next to an institutional, high-intensity commercial use. And so here, we submit that the master plan, the comprehensive plan, which is not zoning, but it is a meaningful guide to the city, determined several years back, I think 21 is when this was adopted by Calera, of what is anticipated as a prospective use for the property. Not a guide, it is a guide, it is not zoning, otherwise it would be zoned, it would have the teeth of zoning, it has the teeth of being a meaningful guide. That here, when you have a set of multifamily that is less than what the density requires, that has in it the additional benefit of providing child care to the residents, and there is an inextricable link between the residential use and the promotion of business development that is not a typical characteristic of other apartments. It makes this property more of a transitional zoning parcel between the medium density on the east down to the institutional. So if, to the extent one sitting up on the dais says, you know, I'm concerned about the comprehensive plan, I think there is a way to accommodate that concern by viewing this property as one that is multifamily with an asterisk. It's a multifamily plus because it carries with it the prospect of bringing industry and commercial development to the city that is not present expressly with other like developments. So that is the overview of what we have. Mr. Hall and Mr. Chambliss are here with the Hall Group and can answer any logistical questions you have. I'm happy to dialogue about any legal issues or zoning issues, but it is, and same thing, if folks from the audience have questions that we need to respond to, we can do that.
All right, thank you. Let me get the regular meeting started here, and then we get right
Sure.
back with you. Okay, it's actually 6:31. Just get some business out of the way here first. Approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion made, and a second,
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. Do any of the members have any reports that they need to talk about? All right, okay. As far as I'm concerned, go back to what we were talking about now. Mr. Hall, would you like to say anything? Or,
We'll go ahead and get Aberdeen out of the way.
are we gonna get everything out of the way? Okay, we can get that. All right, this Aberdeen Phase 1, and the final plat approval. Is there anybody here to talk about that?
Yes, I'm Andrew Kirby with Inside Engineering for the Urban Development. And we're just requesting approval of the final plat. Everything was constructed according to the preliminary plat that was reviewed. The required securities have been delivered and I think deposited along with the required maintenance and development agreements. So we're just seeking approval so they can start building houses soon, beginning of the year.
All right. We have any members, have any input on this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was your last name?
Kirby.
Kirby?
K-R-B-Y.
All right, thank you.
No discussion. Does anybody want to make a motion to?
I just, I heard everything was, everything was good, and do you have any comments?
Everybody signed off on it. They do have some pump station work to do, and that's why they have a, improvement agreement they had to agree to. So that's, as soon as that's taken care of, they'll be able to start building. But yeah, they're good to go except for the pump station, and they have a bond on that. We're not able to get bond against it.
Any more discussion? All right, do I have a motion to accept the final plat for Aberdeen Phase 1?
Yes, I make the motion, Mr. Chairman, that we accept the final plat for Aberdeen Phase 1.
Have a motion, do I have a second? And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, Tim, is that all we got on that? All right. Back to you, Mr. Howard. You got anything you want to talk about?
Well, I thought I would, I'm mainly here just to answer questions, but I thought I would introduce myself and y'all know who I am and ask me any questions about any of this details you can. But I just wanted to talk, I've been in this business for 40 years. I'm from Dothan, Alabama. That's where I started my company, grew up. And over those 40 years, I've concentrated in the multifamily world and have built over 5,000 units in 4 states, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. And I've always been what I call wear all 3 hats. I have my own construction company to build everything that I do, and then I own it. And I keep it, like I said, I don't build them to sell, I build them to keep basically forever or whatever and to maintain them. And along with that, I'm also the president of the Alabama Apartment Association and have been for about 15 years. And actually this workforce development, I really got more involved in it because of my position as an association with the legislature, the governor, the lieutenant governor. And when they were putting together this big initiative, they call it Working for Alabama, and Governor Ivey and Ainsworth went in together with the legislature to get this going. They were looking with the Alabama ADACA Development Office about how to bring more to compete with other states where Alabama can get its fair share, and what they can do to offer things to bring people to Alabama instead of some other state. And they put together 5 different bills. And of course, we mentioned child care. They recognize, they found that to be big with industry when you seek them. You know, when the people are at work after school, is that available in that area? What does it cost, and all these issues. Another, it's like the 3rd-rated component the industry asks is, what's the housing look like? Where we're going to build this factory or put in this plant or whatever it might be, is there adequate housing available? What is it? Is it nice? How much does it cost? Can our workers afford it? And all these issues. And so they put together these 4 or 5 bills, and one of them, of course, is housing. So I worked very closely with the legislature, because this was being worked on for going back about a year. But anyway, it was finally passed in May, so it's brand new. Other states have got similar programs, so Alabama was sort of copying other states. It's been very successful with this workforce initiative. But anyway, I was a part of it then, and so, and he mentioned too about the fact there's only going to be 3 this year, and that's because of limited funding. Money's always tight, and so there's only going to be 3 done, and they want to do them in order: Madison County, Jefferson, Lee County, Shelby, going down the list. It just so happens that nobody actually had, I don't know why, but there was none submitted in Lee County. And so Madison County had about 6 or 7 of these submitted, so they're going to figure out, because only got enough money for 1 in Madison County, so there's going to be 1 done in Madison County. Then they're going to come down to Jefferson County. There's only 2 submitted there, but more than likely one of those 2 would win, so to speak, and do it. Then they would come down to Lee, but because there's nobody there, they will skip Lee. Shelby is in 3rd place, and there are going to be 3 deals done. And we are the only deal. Calera is the only one in the running in Shelby County, so we're not really competing with some other town in the county or something like that. If there's a deal done in Shelby County, it will be Calera. If it doesn't go to Shelby, they go to the next county, which would be Baldwin, I believe. Limestone, which would be Athens or some of that area, and then down to Baldwin County. But I'm just saying there's no guarantees until it's done. But I think there is an excellent chance that Calera, not only if we do this, I think we can win against all these other counties because of what I've just told you. I also think that if we win, I think it speaks loudly to the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the legislature that Calera wants economic development. And economic development meaning something that would provide new jobs for working Alabamians and working Shelby County. And I want to make this clear. I'm not promising by any means, or want to lead you to believe, that the new plant or industry would necessarily come to Calera, though it would be logical if the housing was here, that it would be here, because it's a Shelby County thing. It's not a city thing. It's Shelby County is the one that rates high. So they're going to be seeking industry to come to Shelby County. But that's why, if you see where the location of this is, that's why we're near the interstate. Because more than likely, a plant is going to need major transportation arteries and these kind of things. So we're trying to locate the housing close to where the potential plant, distribution center, factory, who knows what it would be. It's going to just be whatever the city's dealing with, the state, they're dealing with industries and places all the time. I think there's an excellent chance that it's going to come near Calera. I'm not positive it would come in Calera, but it's certainly going to be somewhat near this housing and a decent distance for people to go to work. But the other thing is, I think because of this location, where it is out near the interstate interchange, et cetera, too, I think, and the surrounding property, that this actually is a good location for it to be in Calera. So a lot going for it. But anyway, I'll shut up because y'all ask me any questions. Main reason I wanted you to know I wear all 3 hats, there shouldn't be anything you ask that I can't answer. because I'm wearing all the different hats, so I should be able to answer your questions. And anybody else has got them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna open this up for, either rebuttals or pros on this thing. Now, the rules are is you will have 3 minutes to talk. Kevin, have you got your clock? Can you do your clock?
James.
James got it, all right. Well, somebody will raise their hand. Kevin, can you raise your hand at 1 minute?
1 minute?
Yeah.
Sure.
When they've got 1 minute left, he'll raise his hand so that you'll know how much time you got left. When you please come up, give your name and your address as to where you live at. Go ahead, Mr. Gallagher.
That's gonna be a hard act to follow. Mine's very simple.
Yeah.
I'm a simple man. I moved here in 1955 with my family. And my name is Don Goddard, my wife Marcella. We live at 195 Whippoorwill Lane, right across the street from where this proposed project is. I got a letter from Lisa and Jay. They live the property right across the street. And they're not able to be here because they're in very poor health, very poor health. You all got the letter? You want me
Yes.
to read it?
Now, special time, we got.
Okay. So, I moved to Calera, like I said, 1955. Very peaceful town. I still love Calera. But for this project to come in here, it's going to impact my wife and I, Lisa and Jay, our homes, and Jackie, Ed's wife. So that's my proposal, not to have this come in here because we're against it. And I'm very simple. How much time I got left?
You got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. So anyhow, this letter, do you want me to read it so the other ones can hear it?
That'll be fine.
Okay. My name is, this is Lisa.
Yes.
Lisa Goddard, Jeffco. My name is Lisa Goddard Jeffco. I have been a resident of Calera for 60 years. My family has deep roots in Calera. We chose this community to live, raise our children, and locate our businesses. 30 years ago, my parents, Ed and Jackie Goddard, as well as my husband, Jay Jeffco, and I purchased 75 acres and put in over half a mile of road to our homes, now known as Whippoorwill Lane. This road required 30 dump truck loads of dirt just to get off Highway 31 down here. Gravel and then water lines dug and pipe installed, all done by my father and husband, totally at our own expenses. Later, we were approached by the city if there wasn't an exit for children at the elementary school in case of a train development. We readily agreed to have the road opened up to serve this need. We were then advised that the land across from our homes was to be rezoned so that the Baptist church could be built. We welcomed this addition to our peaceful neighborhood. This proposal of rezoning for this project of some 100 apartments will greatly affect our daily lives in our neighborhood by an extreme increase in traffic and congestion in such a small area, especially consider the possibility or probability of accidents with school buses and school traffic. And then the lowering of our home property values is also a concern. We respectfully ask that this rezoning not be approved. Thank you for considering the wishes of your long-term residents. Lisa Jeffco.
All right, thank you, Mr. Goddard.
That's all I got.
That's all you got, really. Is anybody else? What you got, Cody?
Hi, my name's Cody Moon. I own the deer processor. It's at 88 Whippoorwill Lane. I don't really like the idea of it. Just out of curiosity, there's a detention pond that's going to be out my side door. from the way the plans look. I could misunderstand that, but that's the way that it looks. Also, as Don said, the traffic, every day between the trains, between the school, it backs up all the way past his driveway. So now you're putting an entrance that's coming at a hill and a turn, and then on the other side, in between two hills. It seems like it's just gonna make things that much worse. I understand it, I understand what they're wanting to do, but at the end of the day, it doesn't seem logical to put it there. That road is super busy, everybody here knows it. Also I know how many houses are coming to the city. Do we really need another set of apartments? That's just my opinion of it. I don't see why that has to happen here. I'm not against there being something there, I just don't understand why we want another set of apartments being built with us knowing that we got however many houses coming in anyways. It just seems like it's gonna overflow the school systems and everything more than it already is. That's really all I got. It's just my opinion of it though. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, my name is Jim Sand. Hello?
I killed it.
Oh, yeah, you take that thing out.
Oh, yeah, okay, there, so I got it.
Now you got it.
Yeah, my name is Jim Sanders. I'm a lifetime resident of Calera. My address is 1718 Second Avenue, and I own a strip adjacent to the proposed site of the apartment complexes. Really, I oppose this project, and really for two reasons. One, I think it's going to have an adverse effect on all of the surrounding adjacent property owners. And secondly, the traffic congestion is a danger as it stands now. If you dump 400 or 500 more people transversing from Whippoorwill under 31, you're going to have a mess. There's going to be a lot of infrastructure costs that the city or the state or somebody is going to have to foot to make this thing workable. So anyway, I just wanted to come down and express my opinion that I'm opposed to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Jess, come on.
I'm Marcella Guyyer, live at 195 Whippoorwill Lane. I basically want to reiterate what each of them have said, but in addition to the traffic with the schools, we also, especially in the spring and summer, and I think we all know this too, deal with a huge amount of traffic off of 965. There's constantly wrecks and backups out there that go all the way down. We've been calling, and my husband and I have been calling them more than once, all the way down to Jemison and Clanton. Everybody's GPS directs them over to 31. Well, Whippoorwill Lane is also on that GPS, and when they connect, when Whippoorwill ends, it ends on 31, right out from where this is proposed to be. It's a constant problem with those of us who live there, and you're just going to tremendously add to those problems and with this proposed. I don't think any of us is saying that we don't want any, or wouldn't want any apartments built, just not there. That road is used by everybody in this town as a means to get away from traffic that's backed up on 31, or trains that has already been mentioned. And it's constantly backed up as it is. So if you add all of this on top of that, and right there on that hill, I understand that would probably be cut down, but it is a danger. It is going to be a huge danger, much less upkeep to the roads by whomever eventually, because of the constant traffic. Because you're not only talking about cars, you're talking about a family that's probably going to have 2 cars, and one is going to, and there's going to be trucks constantly going in and out of there. It's unimaginable to me that this could be pleasant for any of us in the long run.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, I'm Lydia Godwin from 2010 Village Lane. I just had something for y'all to consider and y'all to consider. It sounded like you said that there could be as many as 12 in a unit, and I know you said that probably won't happen. But my understanding, if you look at the printout that was sent out, is that there are only 2 parking spots per unit. And you all know with the cost of living that you might end up with 12 people in a unit and lots more cars. And if you've had people come forward before y'all and before the city council talking about parking, and that's just, this is a place where y'all can do something about parking before people come to you later and say, there's no place for me to park. So it's just something to consider.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have any comments by the board members?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hall's getting
Yes, sir.
I would like to just answer some of those questions, like, those are very good ones, but the one on 12 people, no, that is not going to happen, that's against the law.
I need to look at some of the houses in Calera now.
Well, they do it here, you're right, now, they can, but we can't, we're under law, so we can't have 12 people in one apartment. And,
Well, even if you have
we
4
have to limit them
drivers.
in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath to 5, there would never be more than 5, 3 children, so that's the most that would ever live there. But, and somebody said something about 400 cars would be coming out of there. It shouldn't be 400 cars because a family maybe have 1 car, may have 2 cars. So, I mean, it's not going to be 400, but then there would be, however many cars per house times 120, 240 cars if everybody had 2. So that's the maximum could be there. Another gentleman, you made a question too about the retention pond. And actually, that's actually an improvement for you. In other words, that's why the city would make us, we do it anyway, but the city wouldn't make us do this. But they make us put in a detention pond. The purpose of that is to catch all of our water, and we have an engineer do calculations, and the city has to see them, see it meets a 100-year flood requirement for that really bad rain. But the detention pond is where all the water on our site goes into that pond and is filtered and cleaned and comes out no more than it did before we got there. So there's not going to be 1 drop of water more coming to you than what was happening before we got there. And now you have the beauty of we have a pond, so when you have a really 4-inch rain, it's being contained and let out slowly and letting it filter and come out clean and maybe not muddy or something of that nature. So actually your water drainage, if anything, we're improving it. We're not going to make it,
I don't really have a problem with water at this point in time. It just scares me, moving
Yeah.
hills, moving things. It just worries me. I don't want something that's gonna stay wet and deal with mosquito. In my eyes, it's just, I don't like it. I mean,
Yep.
it's just my opinion of it.
I agree with you, but I'm telling you, it's not going to be any worse as far as mosquitoes now. The detention pond doesn't hold water. In other words, it just lets it out slow, not a mosquito breeder or something of that nature. And it has to be maintained. Another thing that was mentioned was about the values of real estate and so forth. Well, we don't have the zoning map up here anymore, but I do think that residential is really less of a use, less other devaluation of your property than maybe what could have gone in there commercially or something else. Housing is a better fit and keeps your values better. This is $33 million. In the real estate world, if you're next to 33 million, usually your property is worth a little more money than it was before there was 33 million next door. But I do think residential is much better, multifamily is much better than the commercial growth that probably will eventually come here, if this doesn't.
So I came in late, so I missed a lot of the attorney's spiel. These apartments, is this for low income and government subsidized tenants?
No, it is not, and we've even talked about, I'm asking them to put that in writing, that it's not that, and to more importantly, put in there what it really is, workforce housing. But no, there's no subsidy, like Section 8 where the government pays rent, that is not the case. This is a state of Alabama program to bring in jobs and industry and economic growth to Alabama for working people that are got a job and they're making money.
So rent.
They don't necessarily deserve or need a subsidy. They can pay their rent. In fact, the rents on this are like, $800, $900 up to $1,200 a month. This is not low rent, low income, subsidized housing at all.
If you look up the housing tax, that act, whatever it is, it says in the first paragraph about it being low-income housing.
Under workforce housing?
Yes,
I'd
sir.
have to see what you're talking about.
If you look it up and it shows the bill,
Right.
and within the first paragraph, it says for low-income housing located in areas near employment with expanding and recently created workforce jobs. I understand where you're coming from, but right there, it even says it's for low-income housing.
Yep, yep. I'm not sure where that comes from, other than the definition of the tax credits. I assume why they're putting that, because the definition of tax credits is low-income housing tax credits. So, but there is no subsidy. If you don't make pretty good money, you can't pay $1,200 a month. I don't call that low income. And then the incomes that is even specified, if you
But
heard
it's
us talking,
but-
they go up to like 80,000 a year. That's not
At
low
this
income.
point in time, you're telling them it's 1,200, but if you research it, it looks like it's low income. You can tell me you're gonna charge 1,200 rent, but what turns in returns, you charge them 8 and the state pays you the
I'm
other
willing to
4.
put it right.
Like, I don't
I'm asking y'all
understand.
to take that gamble.
It seems like we're talking out both sides.
I'm
Chairman,
talking
I
about
have
both
two
sides.
questions.
I'm willing to have that in writing. If it doesn't go this workforce, we will withdraw.
Go ahead, Karen.
Sir, I have a few questions. I want to confirm with Kevin, this does not line up with our comprehensive plan. There are no other R4 in the surrounding parcels. And my question to you is, have you looked at any other land that is currently zoned R4 in our city limits?
Excuse me?
Yes.
Yes, we looked at several parcels.
And you weren't interested in any of those?
Well, it was interesting enough to look, but I narrowed it down, this was the best. And mainly being because of its location, being out near where the interstate's at for people to travel to jobs and so forth, and being a big wide highway, but yet near 31 artery, but not on a heavily congested road. So there was a lot of factors.
You've never sat there at that intersection trying to get out.
You haven't?
You did that off with the interest on the 31.
Yeah.
It's gonna be difficult anywhere if you get a good location. There's always gonna be traffic. That's sort of where you wanna locate. You don't locate out in the boonies, so to speak.
Personally, I like that aspect of what you're trying to do in the workforce house. I just don't think it's in the right spot. Mainly because it's gonna increase the traffic flow. We already got a school at one end of the road. You got kids running out all times of the day and all. And then, again, coming out of that intersection right there, it is one of the most dangerous intersections, I think, that we have in this city, right there.
Could be with high traffic count, you get a light.
I have a comment about that. In this board, we all know that the cost of construction in a state highway is astronomical. Would you be willing to do the improvements necessary for the road infrastructure
You talking about like at the intersection,
at 31 Whippoorwill?
you mean like turn lanes or some kind of?
Anything that the state requires, would you be willing to do something there?
No, I can't afford to do that, no. I will say this, the other locations probably would have been worse that way as far as being on a, coming out and more so even busier street. But, so I don't know that there's really a place where, you're gonna have traffic wherever you go.
I agree with you with that. We're familiar with that, trust me.
Yep.
I think from the days of the burden being all on the city, or whatever municipality you're talking about, I think your willingness to not participate with infrastructure outside of your little acreage, your development proposal, in my opinion, won't get you far here.
I think that any kind of major improvement out there could potentially get the attention of DOT, the state, but I don't know that the numbers, traffic numbers by this is gonna produce enough to get them over the top. But anyway, but I think there's a chance the state would, because it's a total package. They're wanting to get people to the jobs. And wherever the housing is at, if they're in the Calera area, they're probably gonna go to that same elementary school, so their cars are gonna come down that road, whether the housing was on Whippoorwill or not. They're gonna still have to get to that school.
I have a couple of questions. if that's
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right, so I know you said that, so I'm sorry, this act is fairly new to me, hearing about it for the first time. But like, when is the deadline for submission? Because I know right now you said we're number 4. When is the state expecting to release funds for these types of developments?
Actually, the initial submission was a month ago.
Okay.
In other words, we've already submitted it to the state. The deadline to turn them in was October 15th, I believe, was it 15th? Sometime in October. So in other words, for the whole state, they've already been submitted. That's how I know the information about Huntsville and Birmingham, that I was telling you about how many deals were submitted and also that was the deadline. Now, the state act is not really even effective till January 1, so they couldn't announce winners of 2025. Because see, they just passed it this past May. Now, it's not even 6 months old. But anyway, the funding's not even available until January 1. So sometime they're predicting, because they want to hurry up and get something going and make a showing around the state. They're saying in the month of January, a couple of months from now, that they're going to make their final decisions where the projects can get started.
Okay. So the occupant, or the people coming, the workforce coming, are they, since the development is in Shelby County, I know you said that you can't guarantee that obviously the development will be benefiting Calera, the city of Calera. It could be anywhere in Shelby County, could it be outside of Shelby County that these workers have jobs at?
No, it would be in Shelby County.
It would be just isolated to Shelby County. Okay.
Correct.
What is the time frame of the occupants?
When people would actually live there.
Yes, like because you're gonna have, it's gonna be transitional housing, correct? Like they're gonna be here for a certain amount of time to do their job and then leave?
Oh, no, these are like permanent jobs. This would be like a, like I said, maybe an industry, a factory or something that would come and be here forever. So
Oh,
these
so
would
it's
be
not
permanent jobs.
transitional.
No, it's not transient at all. These would be permanent people. And they would sign a 1-year lease, for instance, to live there.
So what happens, because this is like brand new to Alabama, I know you said it's worked in other states. What happens if this does not work in Alabama and we're one of the 3 cities that adopts this, we create this development and the state no longer funds this program, what happens to the people who live there?
Nothing.
They're gonna still stay
Because the
there?
funding is done when we get it, and so, for future years, it's not gonna have any effect. It's
So then it
done.
becomes just an apartment complex?
No, it's gonna be permanently recorded to be this kind of housing at the courthouse. It's a deed restriction. It's gonna be available for just what we're talking about.
But what happens when the state is not able to fund it?
They don't have to. See, they're gonna fund me immediately. The funding's coming right now when we do this.
He's getting them.
So they can't withdraw it, they can't pull it away, it's done.
Gotcha, okay.
But you did sort of ask me another question I didn't ask. To build something like this, it takes a year and a half or longer with all the construction time, weather and all this. And so before, it's 2 years before anybody actually lives there, just to get it built and all that.
And what is considered the eligible work that people would qualify to live there, that they would do?
They don't have to work at that new industry. In other words, it's not going to be said that unless you work in that new job plant, you're the only people who can live here. Other people that already live here in Calera could live there if they qualify.
So it could be people that already live here.
Could be people that already live here. That's not really, what the state intended. They want to flag it that, hey, look, we got 120 places for you to live. If you'll bring that industry to town,
But what's to stop that from happening? Like what's to,
stop.
like, because you're saying like bring other
If
people
a
in, but what
qualified-
if the residents of Clear want to live there?
Correct. We get this thing built 2 years from now and a qualified person steps up that already lives in Calera, I'm going to have to rent to him. I can't legally discriminate or turn him down. In other words, just because he didn't work at that particular plant, you can't do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you for answering my
So
question.
required to be employed, is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. You still got to pass all the background checks and have enough income to qualify to pay the $1,200 a month or whatever it might be. And,
As
you know,
long
have
as
a
you work
clean
in Shelby
record.
County.
Pardon?
As long as you are working in Shelby County, right?
No, you don't even have to work in Shelby County. They could be coming here from somewhere else.
No, but I'm saying like, but the work, because you said that the people coming, that the work, the whole point of it is to bring workforce to people that, who would be working in Shelby County. So they don't have to existingly be working in Shelby County, but to live there, they would have to be, correct? Or no?
No, not to live in the housing. They don't have to live in Shelby County. Now, they're wanting to live in Shelby County, or they wouldn't be trying to live in
I meant to
High
work in Shelby County.
They don't have to work in Shelby County.
So they can work in Birmingham and
Correct,
live.
they work anywhere. In fact, probably that's the hopes of the state to a great degree, is that some of the people are coming in for the new jobs from somewhere else.
And then how does that differ from just an apartment complex?
And that way, not a lot. In other words, it's against the law to say that you gotta work a certain place to live in my apartments, you know, so there's no difference.
Thank you for answering the question.
Okay.
Any more questions from the committee?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, from what I can understand, from what Mr. Galloway, I believe, explained, this, the concept seems very good. I don't think, for my personal, I'm a lifelong resident here as well. The location just doesn't fit very well to me, as it has been expressed from some of the others. I don't understand. The only thing I would say about the concept of what economic development is, I just wonder why they would choose this area of Shelby County, just like Madison County, some other has some of the lower unemployment rates anyway in the state. I'm curious why they would choose those areas. But nevertheless, I would just say that I can really, have been a lifetime resident here, I can understand where I would highly respect for what Mr. Gotti expressed to us. I can remember when they gave the go-ahead, his family gave the go-ahead to have Woodville Lane put in to give us an alternative for our school. And that's really something I really honor them to do, because we didn't have a way for our elementary kids to get across, CSX tracks up there, and they permitted us to have Woodville put in and to allow our school and our elementary kids to get back and forth to their residence. So, I like the concept, I just do not like that location. So, that's my comment.
Any other comments? All right. Do I have a motion from anybody to accept the rezoning from B2 to R4?
Mr. Chairman, if I could speak just very, very quickly.
Yes.
You probably have a couple of options here as far as if there's a suggestion. There's the recommendation as it stands. I guess you could also, if there's a willingness for conditions to make this contingent upon any sort of recommendations that have been presented, if there's any additional concerns from from the board that you would like to address or add as far as a contingency for discussions. So there's a lot of ways to skin this cat, and then of course there's just a straight motion and then vote up or down on it. So just letting you know that there's a couple tools in your toolkit here as far as how you might want to respond to this request.
The only thing that I think that most of us will do is the location. We're just not in favor of the location or where it's at. I think if you gave us, we would love to have you, if you could give us some more options as to where it would be at. As residents of this place, we know a little bit more about that road than what you think you know about it. And it's a very dangerous road, as it is right now. And you add that many more people there. I go to church over there, and it is a nightmare just to try to get out, even go back northbound. And if you're crossing 2 lanes, or a lane, it's virtually impossible sometimes. I mean, you'll sit there for 5 to 10 minutes, I'm telling you. But that's just my opinion on that. I mean, that's,
Mr. Chairman, also, my concern not only for the traffic, because I've sat there, I live on the east side of Calera, the east side of the train tracks, so I have to divert quite a lot to get where I want to go. But also, even if you come out on 25, it's still built, it backs up. But not only just the people that are going to move in there, but you said it's going to take a year to 2 years before construction. Where are those construction vehicles going to go? That's going to be a huge danger coming out on either one of those roads.
anyone else?
Brian, do we need, to determine, do we need to vote it up or down, or whether to recommend this to the city council, or do we just, may not take a vote on it?
If it's been submitted, you can do an up or down vote, or you could, I guess I'll walk through the options. 1, up or down. 2, you could table it and request, negotiation, discussion of conditions. If there's any additional things that you would like to see as a condition other than what's been presented here. I guess the third option is just to approve it. So you can vote up, vote it down, ask for contingencies, table it, and see, have it come back before the board with any additional concerns, or you can go ahead and have a vote now, up or down.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I make a motion to deny this rezoning request at this point.
A motion made to deny the motion.
Connie second.
Connie second. All in favor?
Aye.
We
Opposed?
have a roll call vote.
Well, let's do a roll call vote if you don't mind. That would be the best practice.
Tammy, go ahead.
Deny, yes.
Bree?
Aye is denial, right?
Yes.
Sandy?
Aye.
Hilton?
Aye.
Bree?
Aye.
Mayor? Mr. Ernest?
Aye.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Hall, would you come up with another location? I would be glad to talk to you, maybe. But I'm sorry for not being able to get through for you tonight, but it's just, like I said, it's just our opinion that it's not the right place for it. And I hope you understand.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything else on the agenda, make the motion.
All right, have a motion made to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.